Hello, good day. Welcome everyone to this first training webinar on Google Empowering Parish Technology with Google Apps. So I'd like to welcome you to this training video, this webinar. This is the first in a series of webinars, and it's first in a series of webinars, training webinars on communications and technology. So I'd like to welcome you to this one and to future ones that are coming up soon. Firstly, in this webinar, I'd like to cover some of the reasons why your congregation might consider using Google Apps as a solution for your congregation if you're not already using it. And if you are using it already, then what ways perhaps you might be able to leverage that system to be able to do more. There are some tools that you can use to do that. This is not a webinar on how to use all the individual features of Google Apps system. That can be a future webinar, but it is not the focus of this one. Okay, so the first question I'd like to pose as we're all considering this, the question of empowering churches with Google Apps is why would we do this? Changing technology, any mission-critical technology, is usually coupled with a lot of anxiety and trepidation. So we want to initially ask some key questions as to why would we do this. You know, what are the challenges with the current system? What are we not able to do that we would like to be able to do? What can we do that we'd like to do better than what we're doing now? And what are the hopes and dreams? What would we, if we could wish for anything, what is it we would like to be able to do? And so identifying those before we look at a new system is really a critical piece of it, to see if the new system or any new system is a good fit for the parish. It isn't necessarily something that fits everybody. In the case of Google, it will also determine how the system, if we set it up, how it will be suited to your particular needs, because the system can be set up and configured in any number of ways, and many of the churches in our diocese are using it in different ways and using different tools that are available, and in a few minutes we'll be looking at a few case studies and seeing how different churches are using the different tools. So that's something that we'll look at in a minute. Common challenges. Now, there are common challenges facing our churches, and these are ones that I often hear about. The most common complaints, I would say, from parishes, the most common challenges that I hear, that the email is not reliable, isn't reliable. We don't know how it works. We can't get email remotely. It doesn't work on phones and mobile devices. The system is a mystery. We get lots of spam. AOL doesn't deliver emails. Our system is possessed. It's haunted with evil spirits. So many different complaints from parishes as I receive them. And so some problems our parishes are talking about, and maybe some of your congregations are looking at, are technology challenges, but don't necessarily require or need a switch to a system like the Google system if you're not using it. Things like backups and old computers, etc. Those things are not necessarily going to require this, but they do require attention. And I have an upcoming webinar on technology best practices for churches, so feel free to tune into that as well, and that will cover some of those other issues. So what is the situation in our diocese? In our diocese, over 50% of the parishes now use Google Apps. In the past several years, I have migrated over half of our 89 congregations onto the Google platform. Previously, we hosted many email accounts and websites for our parishes on that and other hosted systems, and there were always been issues with storage, delivery problems, and not enough features. So after working in the system, migrating over some parishes and seeing the benefits in terms of reliability, cost, usability, it has made sense to standardize our diocese on this platform to enable churches and to empower every congregation to be able to use this system and expand it and build upon it with all of the available options in it. So it was my experience after migrating congregations over that incoming support calls were reduced by over 60%. And so I could sleep easier at night, which is very important, of course, for me at least. And in our diocese, we've been able to provide direct support for our congregations engaging in the migration process, from identifying challenges, assessing needs, reviewing data, migrating data over, and providing ongoing assistance with managing and building the system. So we looked at some of the challenges. What are some of the benefits of using the system? Google isn't the only game in town, but here are some benefits from utilizing this platform. And they're itemized here. Administration, the system is easier to access for disaster recovery, reduced system administration. You can deploy it rapidly. It's integrated. Obviously, cost for Google Apps for nonprofits, which churches are eligible for. It is a free system. There is no cost for using it and building it. There is less need for IT support. It's quick to deploy. It's proven to be a reliable system. Its portability, you can take it with you on different devices, phones, mobile apps. And, you know, in other areas, it's scalable. Google provides direct support by phone and email for churches that are using the nonprofit version of Google. And one question I sometimes get is around the issue of this system and other systems like it, that it's 100%, it's a web-based system. So it's in the cloud, and what does that mean exactly as far as it being a cloud system? Well, one site, TechSoup, describes it nicely, that cloud computing allows you to access software via the internet instead of from your hard drive or your local computer. So when you use cloud-based software, it's available anywhere you use the network, not just in your office when you're using the internet. And as far as the system itself goes, some of the benefits of this particular system on avoiding patching and upgrades. This is something that's a common problem for many parishes. We've experienced that keeping software up to date is both expensive in terms of buying the software and upgrading it. Some of those costs can be offset by using this system. So that can be a benefit. Other than as we've discussed, accessing data from anywhere. The applications in this system are fully integrated. Having one login to access everything is extremely beneficial. Easy to manage, less IT support, and it's a secure system, and definitely improves efficiency by reducing complexity. Many of the parishes I've worked with on this have seen a significant reduction in their need for IT support by utilizing this system, and it's easy to manage, etc. So what are the next steps now? We've described some of the benefits, the advantages, and the challenges faced by congregations. A next step, this is one next step you could take at this point. I certainly recommend it for a while. Other than that, we can look at how the process would be if for a parish interested in moving or exploring this system. Firstly, is it a good fit? I would discuss, and the people in each congregation need to discuss the challenges and the needs. What are the needs and challenges facing the particular parish, and is this system a good fit? Bearing in mind that we have standardized on this system for churches in the diocese, so this is certainly something that has a lot of potential to meet many needs. The process then is simply enrolling in the Google Nonprofit program, configuring the domain and the accounts, migrating the data, and then doing some training. And once that is accomplished, and typically that could take several weeks to a month to accomplish, depending on the complexity of the data, a parish is then able to get into the Google dashboard. This is the administrative console for your church. And you're then able to manage your users, email groups, any user accounts. In the nonprofit edition, a church can get up to 3,000 email addresses included in the system for free. So that's usually enough to cover perhaps as many needs, as many users as you need. In addition, there are groups. You can set up email groups and lists, online groups. You can manage social applications, Google+, Hangouts, which is what we're using today for this video presentation. And you can figure application settings and other things. And you'll see there on the screen a quick screenshot of a typical Google dashboard where you can manage these various applications. And as I mentioned, I've seen over a 60% reduction in support calls, meaning that parishes are able to, the administrator or the parish rector are able to just log in, delete an account, change a password, suspend a user, whatever it is that is needed is easily done in this system. So really getting these features has been a major plus. Managing mobile devices too, there's an increasing need and requirement for taking everything everywhere, and this system does allow for that to happen. So definitely I've seen this as being a major advantage. So this is really all about simplifying your IT, simplifying your technology infrastructure, doing more with less. And we'll look at now a few case studies, examples of churches and organizations where we've been able to build upon and use this platform to solve some problems. The first case study is one which is a downtown parish in Washington, D.C. with a small staff, small as in size, not small as in height. The in-house email server, it was a complex server. It was too complex for the staff to manage. They did not understand how it worked and required calling technical support whenever a change or anything was done to it, in addition to just doing server maintenance. So it was expensive to maintain. The parish needed reliable email. They needed to share calendars. They needed mobile access. They wanted to build on their website capability using the system and have remote file sharing capability. So the solution here was migrating them into Google Apps, using the email and calendar features with calendar sharing and groups. We configured that in the Google domain for this parish. The parish built their entire website using Google Sites, which is quite an impressive feat, really. There are two parishes currently in the diocese using Google Sites to manage their website. It's a system that can be challenging for managing websites, but it can do the job. And the parish is currently also migrating their files from the in-house server to Google Drive, enabling them to have a server-free office, which is for them works very well, seeing as they don't wish to have the expense and complexity of having a server in a very small office. A second study was an organization, an Episcopal affiliated organization in the diocese, which had several offices around the area, a distributed staff, used a variety of email programs and addresses. The system was complex and it lacked features and was unreliable. The staff needed to share calendars and to communicate between sites, and there were a lot of mobile workers. Being able to track the staff usage of the system and manage email signatures centrally was a requirement. So in this case, we migrated all of the staff over to the system. They were using many different email programs before, so we switched to using only the online system, which was a change, but something that has meant that a lot of those technical support issues were eliminated from that. And we installed an add-on into the Google Apps system so they could centrally manage the address list and the signatures, email signatures for all the staff. So there were some really nice add-on features that we'll look at in a minute. The third study was a suburban parish with an in-house email server again, and a shrinking staff, that is, the staff reducing in size. The server was expensive, it was complex, and this is a common complaint for a very small office with an in-house server. that it was expensive and that they had to pay for ongoing IT support that they wanted to try and reduce if possible. So they wanted a simple to manage email system, share calendars, email aliases, so different addresses for one mailbox, and to have an email newsletter capability for a weekly email newsletter. So in this case, the parish, we might have set up the domain, configured it properly, migrated the email and calendars into Google, and the staff were able to manage the addresses, the aliases as needed, and we installed the MailChimp application into their Google system so that using the one login, they're able to go into the MailChimp system and set up the newsletter. We've been able to work with different parishes on this to just set up an initial template so that we can get going with sending out a weekly e-newsletter and looking at different templates and ways to do that. It's certainly something that the Google system provides as an easy way to leverage the basic platform to add in other applications, and this is something which is one of the most exciting parts of the Google system. Something that in this case I'm just calling smart tools. And some of the smart tools are built into the system. Some of them can be added in using what's called the Google Marketplace, which is a website that, with a Google Apps domain, you can go to and online install additional applications. And a few of these Google Forms for many parishes is a great tool, and many actually don't know that how easy it is to use. And this is something we're working on doing some additional training in, is using tools like Google Forms to set up a simple online registration form or survey forms. This can all be done within the Google Drive system, within the Docs feature, to collect information, store it in a spreadsheet, and it's right there within the Google account. Using Hangouts for easy web chat. We've done this now here at the Diocese, and some other places are now starting to use it for easy video chat, for group chat meetings, and also for text chat for organizations with several sites or where people work remotely, to be able to do quick text chat between people in the Google domain. MailChimp, an example I mentioned, is one which is being increasingly used. MailChimp is something that allows for up to 2,000 email addresses and 12,000 emails a month for free at no cost. So that's a very attractive solution, and certainly less expensive than some of the other bulk email systems out there. UltraDocs is another system another application you can install into Google, which has an online Google Drive, is installed into Google Drive and provides mail merge capability, which is something that can be extremely effective online, both for online emails and for printed documents. Formatting the Google Calendar for printing, there's an application called WinCalendar that does that, and SysCloud, which is an online backup of all your Google Apps data for every single account. And again, that's something that is something that having that entire backup of every single account in the system is definitely something that it can be very valuable. So these applications are definitely can be very useful to have. Like I mentioned, we've installed a number of these applications in different Google systems now, and found that with some initial training, that once the staff has begun to use them, that it's been very effective. So if your parish is already using that and you have particular questions, do feel free to reach out to me on particular questions that you have, particular needs, something you'd like to be able to do, as many of these applications are available in the Google Marketplace, and we can install them. Many of them are free, and some of them are fee-based, depending on the number of accounts you would like to activate them for. So if you wanted to just set up a particular tool to use with certain users, it's certainly possible to do that. The tools range from everything from calendaring, scheduling, document management, human resources, payroll, billing, invoicing. There are many systems many applications that can be added into your Google system once you've enabled it. As I mentioned, a common one has been MailChimp, the MailChimp newsletter system. and this is something that the more that we've used it has been very effective. Anyways, there are many options. I certainly encourage you to reach out to me on that. As far as there are some options, some sites for knowing more and keeping up to date on these things. Here's a few links for you as far as knowing more and getting more information. The Google Apps updates are posted on the Google blog, which is googleappsupdates.blogspot.com. The Google Apps Marketplace, the link there is to where you can explore the various applications that are available for Google Apps, and would encourage you to look at that. And similarly, the information for the Google Apps for Nonprofits program is available at that link there at the bottom, and I encourage you to explore that. If you're already using the system, then I would certainly encourage you to look at ways that the system is, in any ways that the system is limiting or frustrating, and ways that perhaps the system is that you would like to be able to do more with it than you're currently able to do. So definitely encourage you to do that and to reach out to me on that. And I can certainly connect you with maybe applications or resources that would be helpful to you. My contact information is here, so feel free to email. Information on this and other upcoming workshops and etc. Is available on our website, www.edow.org/digitalchurch.